Great morning! Fantastic morning! Why? Because you woke up this morning. I woke up this morning because we were chosen. We can breathe, even with COVID. I'm alive. So are you. And for that, we need to give him honor, praise, glory, hallelujah, worship. But most importantly, acknowledgement. So, welcome this day that will never come again. Welcome this moment that will not be repeated, even if you watch it later on. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. And so before I get started, you don't need to know my name because you already see it. I need to acknowledge my creator, who I choose to call God, and how everything that has happened to me, God did it. Usually I play Spiritual by Donald Lawrence, but this time I thought about and I saw it. It's called God Did It by Evelyn Turnerine, and it was something that my granddaughter and my nephew sung to me years ago when they were little, and it is true. Everything that happened to me, God did it. So open up your spiritual eyes and let's give him honor, praise. Let's party. Yes. Here we go. Let's give God some praise for the good things he's done. Everything that happened to me, God did it. Oh, yes, he did. Oh, everything that happened to me, that was good, God did it. Yes, he did. Oh, yes, he did. He picked me up, turned me all around, placed my feet on solid ground. Everything that happened to me, that was good, God did it. Oh, yes, he did. I said everything that happened to me, the Lord did. God did, I know. Oh, yes, he did. Oh, everything that happened to me, that was good, God did it. Oh, yes, he did. See what I was lost out in the world. Jesus came and he took me on in. Everything that happened to me, that was good, God did it. Oh, yes, he did. I said everything that happened to me, that was good, God did it. God did it. Yes, he did. Oh, yes, he did. Oh, everything that happened to me, that was good, God did it. God did it. I know he did. Oh, yes, he did. I've been sick. I thought I couldn't get well, but he healed my body and now I got to tell everything that happened to me. I was good, God did, God did. I know he did. Oh, yes, he did. God did, God did. I thank him. Oh, yes, he did. God did it. God did. Yes, he did. Oh, yes, he did. He picked me up. God did. Turned me around. Oh, yes, he did. He placed my feet on. God did. Solid ground. Oh, yes, he did. And I was lost. God did. In a world of sin. Oh, yes, he did. Jesus came. God did. Took me on. Oh, yes, he did. And I was sick. God couldn't get away. Oh, yes, he did. He healed me. God did. Now I can tell. Oh, yes, he did. Now say yes. Yeah, 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 who did it? God did it. Who did it? God did it. Who did it? God did it. I wanna know God did it. Who opened up? God did it. Love is on God did it. Oh, you and God did it. Your right mind. God did it. Didn't let you sleep too late. God did it. You woke your did it? Who did it? Who woke you up this morning? Who did it? The alarm clock? The trash truck? The babies? The husband? The wife? Who woke you up this morning? Even if you don't know it, God did it. Woo! I tell you. Listen, I don't own the rights to that song. Entitled God Did It. And that is the God of my understanding, not trying to impose anything on you, or you. Guess what? That was for me. I know who did it. Why? Because 33 years ago, on February the 23rd, next week, was my first day of deliverance and my first day in sobriety from alcoholism, drug addiction, prostitution, even murder. I had an abortion as a prostitute, yes. But I put myself underneath a parked car on February the 22nd, 1993, o'clock in the morning, running from my own stepson, who I believe was trying to hurt me, do harm to me, because we were getting high and doing all kinds of sexual favors for. I did all the work, right? And after it was all said and done, he wanted to harm me like any bitch in the street. And once he hit me the first time, I started running. I got a flashback from my past when I would go underneath the bed to hide, to play hide and seek. Didn't want nobody to find me. Didn't want nobody to hurt me. And so as I ran, I saw the slew of cars. And I said, if I just get underneath that car, he won't get to me. Man, only 90 pounds. Face all sunken in. Dark circles around my eyes. Hair all matted. Some teeth missing, yes. While I was underneath that parked car with my face literally on the ground. The flashback of it. Wayna, what is wrong with you? You were the class vice president. You were the co-captain of the cheerleader team. You wanted to be a model. You wanted to be an actress. You wanted to be a phys ed teacher. How are you underneath this parked car, Edwina? What is wrong with you? Your family ashamed of you. Your children don't know what the world happened to you. You with the self-loathing. Edwina, why are you underneath this parked car? What's wrong with you? The flashback from the ugly side of addiction, the rapes, the beat-ups, being passed around like a bucket, spit on, called all kinds of names. Suicide attempts, right? Yes. Setting people up, being set up. The ugly side of addiction. Anytime you are getting high with your own family members. Woo! Addiction. When we inject that stuff in our body, we transform, and only through divine intervention are we saved. And that's when I went down somewhere deep inside of me. And these words came out. Whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. I don't know you personally. I was taught that God was a punishing God, but whoever they say you are, take me out now or show me a better way. And he chose me to live. God did it. Not my mama, as much as she prayed, not my daddy, who wanted me to get better, not my family, not even my children. I couldn't even do it myself. God did it. Everything that happened up until that point, God did it, and he wasn't finished with me yet, right? And so because I was chosen, I've been on this path for going on 33 years, right? Being prepared for things yet to come, even sitting before you. Sharing my experience, my strength, my hope, my perspective of my spiritual journey. That God did it. He will continue to do it because he said, Edwina, I could use you, your cuckoo for Cocoa Pop self. Yes. The things that I've been prepared to accomplish and have accomplished, God did it. Get my doctorate in biblical studies just to learn more about the God who did for me that no human being had the power to do. God did it. The fact that I have a TV talk show for the past 31 years, God did it, called Choosing a New Way of Life. The fact that I am an author, published my journal, right? That I kept the first 4 years in recovery for 4 years, writing about the transition of leaving that world, not knowing what is in the future, but staying present in today, keeping that journal. I didn't have no idea God was going to publish it November 2015. And then to write a training manual for the city of Wilmington Employee Assistance Program, EAP. I didn't have no idea that I could help train, right, co-workers to help with others who are challenged with this disease of addiction, alcoholism, so they don't lose their job or they don't lose their life. I published that. It was my thesis that I wrote at Lincoln University and graduated back in 1997. I didn't know. God did it. The fact that I am a full-figure model now. I'm an actress now. God did it. God did it all. Why? Because I know who I am and whose I am, and all I want to acknowledge is that God did it. All right? So for these going on 33 years, I've been prepared to be a spiritual coach. I've been prepared to be a transformational speaker. I've been prepared to be a spiritual and transformational consultant. I've been prepared, and I want to continue to be prepared. So through the 12 spiritual principles of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family, and now recently the teachings of Dr. Sonja, her transformational teachings from P3 University. With those 3 wisdom instruments and tools, I'm on fire, which is why I want to invite you to my Free to Hope Zoom presentation on my anniversary, February the 23rd, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Savings Time, right? As I share with you my journey, our journey to transparency and authenticity. At this time, I usually snatch off this wig, take off the makeup, take out these dentures to let you know it is not about the messenger. It's about the message. I'm going to keep it on for a little while just to demonstrate with you how the mask must go. If I begin to remove the physical mask, then I can remove the masks that are internal, that's keeping me from revealing what I need, right? What I need to reveal and stop concealing it so that I can heal. Yes, God did it. He did it for me, and he can do it for you. All right, so let's get to our topic today, okay? And so the day is February the 17th, and it's the perspective from AA Daily Reflections called The Love in Their Eyes, incorporating the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja of P3 University. I don't represent any of them, but I represent the God of my understanding, who met me underneath the park car just the way I was, prepared me to be sitting in front of you just the way I am. Even though I have on these masks, you better believe I am transparent and authentic. And if you stay the whole show, you will see why. And it is because of the 12 spiritual principles that laid the foundation for me to stay sober and be willing to help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. But in our 12-step spiritual program, it says all human beings are ill to some extent. I am so glad that out of all the diseases I have this one, because it was this one that led me to the 12 spiritual principles, to achieve the spiritual transformation, right? The spiritual wisdom, the spiritual knowledge, in order to obtain a psychic change underneath that parked car. Yes. It was take me out or show me a better way, no in between. And so as a result, I want to share with you our daily readings, one day at a time, that helps us to stay focused, right, on what's important. I go to my meetings every day in one way, shape, form, or fashion. As a matter of fact, I was just on from 7:30 to 8:30. I made sure this came on at 8:35. I got my meeting in. To let you know it is by staying connected that God will continue to do it. All right. So let's get into the topic today. And it's called The Love in Their Eyes. So I'm going to read it. And I want you to open your spiritual ears and your spiritual eyes and read with me so that we can obtain the spiritual message. Right? Not looking at the messenger, y'all, because this is all fake. Trust me. I can't wait to take it off. In the meantime, let me do what I was called to do. All right, here go the reading today. Let's move this, okay? Let's do this. All right, and let's bring this on, okay? And it says, February the 17th, The Love in Their Eyes. And our co-founder extracts from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions on page 25, a quote. Some of us won't believe in God. Others can't. And still others who do not believe that God exists have no faith whatever he will perform this miracle. Let me reread that. Some of us won't believe in God. Others can't. And still others who do believe that God exists have no faith whatever he will perform this miracle. And the person in recovery shares his perspective. It was the changes I saw in the new people who came into the fellowship that helped me lose my fear and change my negative attitude to a positive one. I could see the love in their eyes, and I was impressed by how much their one day at a time sobriety meant to them. They had looked squarely at step 2 and came to believe that a power greater than themselves was restoring them to sanity. That gave me faith in the fellowship and hope that it could work for me too. I found that God was a loving God, not that punishing God I feared before coming to AA. I also found that he had been with me during all those times I had been in trouble before I came to AA. I know today that he was the one who led me to AA and that I am a miracle. Oh, Ooh, Lord, I am a miracle. Okay, listen, I cannot wait any further. The mask must go. Okay, listen. Between COVID and these hot flashes, I can't wait to the end, huh? Underneath that park car, he met me just the way I was. I didn't have this wig on. Woo! Ooh, freedom, right? Huh? I didn't have this makeup on. No, don't need it. Don't want it. Don't need it. Don't want it, right? He accepted me just the way I was, right? I didn't even have these. Every morning I get up just like this, right? And so because I am humbled, and I understand humiliation, I will present to God just the way he made me and stop putting on the mask that I've been wearing most of my life. I'm going to put these back in to articulate and pronunciate, and I'm going to show you, huh? This is what I do every morning, right? You see how I'm sweating, right? I am sweating, huh? I can't wear the mask. I can't wear that wig. Voila. And I'm done. I take the brush and get them little cooties back there. Y'all know what they do, right? Okay. God accepts me just the way I am, y'all. I love me today because he loves me, but I love me today. I can see the love in my own eyes because of the spirit that occupies this body. Donald Lawrence says we are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. No, we are spiritual beings encased and walking this natural journey called life, right? And so I know this is just the vessel. In the 12-step spiritual program, I learned that, Rena, there's nothing wrong with you. Something happened to you. Something happened to you. And so that's why the reading is so important for me, because there was love in their eyes. Okay, so let's dissect this. And I'm glad I took that stuff off. Okay, so here we go. Right now, it says here, some of us won't believe in God. Okay, some of us won't believe in God. And I have met people who don't believe in God. I too, at one time, didn't believe in God. Listen, some of those people exist. And that's okay. That's okay. But who woke them up this morning? All right. And the other one says, right? Others can't. There are others who can't believe in God for whatever reason. They just can't believe in God. God, they can't. But I wonder who woke them up this morning. Huh? And that's okay. That right now they can't. Others don't want to. But let me tell you, every knee shall bow and every mouth will confess that he is. You just wait. But guess what? We accept them. Don't matter whether you believe or don't believe, okay? And so he goes on to say, right, our co-founder, right? And then you still have others who do not believe that God exists, have no faith whatever he will perform this miracle. Who do believe that God exists. Some of us who do believe that God exists, but have no faith that he will perform this miracle that's sitting in front of you right now. Isn't that something? But I understand all three categories. Yes, I do. And that's why self-will, right? Our self-knowledge is limited. Applying the 12 spiritual principles and the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja. Woo! There's love in their eyes. Okay, so let's see what else he says, right? He says, our person in recovery, it was the changes I saw in the new people who came into the fellowship that helped me lose my fear and change my negative attitude to a positive one. Now, he's talking about him going to meetings, obviously there for a period of time. He saw the newcomers coming in and he could see the love in their eyes, right? Now, let me reverse it, right? No. Let me stay with his perspective. Okay, I'll get to mine in a minute. Let me stay with his, okay? So then he goes on to say, right? It was the changes I saw in the new people who came into the fellowship that helped me lose my fear and change my negative attitude to a positive one. Here, huh? It was the new people that came into the fellowship that helped him to what? Lose his fear. People come into the fellowship that helped him to lose his fear and change his negative attitude into a positive one. And that's why going to meetings is so essential, to be around same-minded same like-minded people, right? The fellowship. None of us, no matter our age, our creed, our race, our religion, none of that could stay sober. And so we bound together, right? Because we had one common denominator, and that was the disease of alcoholism, whether you accepted it or know it or not. The new people that came helped this guy, right, lose his fear and change his attitude from negative to positive, okay? Whew, I tell you. So let's go on with him. He goes on to say, I could see the love in their eyes, and I was impressed by how much their one day at a time sobriety meant to them. We're talking about new people, right, that came into the fellowship. And when new people come into the fellowship and they come to a meeting, they recognize that they are sober. They are sober at least that minute, at least that hour. They are sober. They are sober. They are sober and they are so happy. Regardless of how they feel, they are so happy that they are sober. When the God of their understanding or not understanding relieved that compulsion and obsession, they were happy, and it was demonstrated that they were in a meeting and they were sober. Wow. Wow. Woo. Listen, let's dissect that again. He says, right? He says, I could see the love in their eyes, and I was impressed how much their one day at a time of sobriety meant to them. Oh my God, the fact of being sober. It is a feeling when you first come in that really can't be explained. And that's why we see the love in their eyes, that they are sober just for that second, that minute, that hour. Oh, yes. Okay. And so he continues to say, right? The one day at a time, how much it meant to them. They had looked squarely at step 2 and came to believe that a power greater than themselves was restoring them to sanity. They had looked squarely at step 2, came to believe that a power greater than them could restore them to sanity. And sanity only means soundness of mind. Okay, so let's dissect this thing, right? So they are brought to Alcoholics Anonymous in one way, shape, form, or fashion. Don't know why, don't know how, but they're there. They are there, right? And they are amazed. We are amazed that we're not drinking, we're not drugging, we're not out there. We are in here amongst people, right, who are sober. And we look at them, it's like, wow, belong to each other, right? And so that particular fellowship, that meeting of all those individuals was a power greater than that new person. It was a power greater than them. And they saw that they could be restored to sanity just by being amongst them. That was a power greater than them. And then they were introduced to step 2, came to believe that a power such as this group could restore them to sanity, soundness of mind. Yes. All right. Okay. And so we will see through our journey how that power greater than them and like me changed over time for a good purpose, right? So he goes on to say, right? Okay, that gave me faith in the fellowship and hope that it could work for me too. Did you hear that? Just by seeing the new person come in with love in their eyes. Why? Because they are among people who are sober. Majority of them. I'll tell you about that later. Right? Who are sitting around a table, right? Who appear to be right in their right mind, who are smiling, who are sharing, right? Their experience, their strength, and their hope. And this newcomer comes in, right? And this person who's been there a while, and he see the fact that somebody's new. So he began to reflect maybe how he looked when he came in. Wow. And then when we sit there and we hear what's going on, and that person, he says, wow, watching them, let me not paraphrase. He said, watching them, that gave me faith in the fellowship and hope that it could work for me. Gave him faith in the fellowship. God uses people. God works through people. Is he working through me right now for you? Huh? Could you imagine being in a fellowship of people like myself, and we're sharing everything because we learn not to give anything or anybody that much power to make us go back to drinking. Not let me go back underneath that parka, oh hell to the no, right? But seeing and being around the fellowship. Fellowship is not new to us. We was in a fellowship at the hit house, right? We was in a fellowship at the bar, right? We was in a fellowship in the prostitution brothel, right? We know what fellowship is. But being in the fellowship of a spiritual program gave him hope and faith that it could happen to him too. All right. I tell you, I love dissecting this stuff. Right. He goes on to say, right. I found that God was a loving God, not that punishing God I feared before coming to AA. I found God. I found God. I found God. I found that God was a loving God. I found. So being in this fellowship of people with the same disease that I had, that's incurable, we found camaraderie among each other. We was helping each other stay sober. We were encouraging each other. We was listening to each other. We were supporting each other. We had empathy for each other. And guess who was working through all of them? God. Even though you didn't know it yet, right? God. So he said he found that God was a loving God. A loving God who not just loved me, but loved everybody in that room. Oh my God. And so coming into a spiritual program like Alcoholics Anonymous, utilizing these 12 spiritual principles, help you to get a God of your understanding. Because like he said, I too was taught that God was a punishing God. How was I taught that? Ask the Ruiz family. Through the 5 agreements we learned in our history by going back to our 4th step inventory that we were domesticated like dogs and cats. We were taught, right? We were brainwashed. We were convinced, right? To believe to believe what those around us believed and wanted us to believe, because they didn't know no better. They were domesticated too. So I was taught like him. He was a punishing God. Edwina, you a bad girl. Edwina, you doing bad things. And I was 4 or 5 years old. Guess what? I was ornery. And my mom said, even coming out the womb. So when you hear that, you believe that. And I thought that God was a punishing God. He couldn't possibly love me then as a child. And he couldn't possibly love me during my addiction. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Huh? But I learned that God was a loving God, not a punishing God, that I believed in before I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. That's why we are led there. We could have been led to any other route, the religious route, right? Like the Oxytonians, right? The Oxford group, like the temperance group, like the Washingtonians. No, we were led to Alcoholics Anonymous, a spiritual program. Dr. Carl Jung told Roland told Dr. Bob and Bill, no. What we need is a psychic change, divine intervention, divine providence. We need spirituality to cure, to help with this sickness of ours. That's what's going to help us. I use the word cure, right? And so the literature says we have an incurable disease that is fatal. Okay. So with Dr. Carl Jung, it said you need a divine intervention. You need divine providence in order to achieve that psychic change. And that's what the spiritual principles do, right? And so we know now that we have knowledge of a loving God, right? And so he also says, I also found that he had been with me during all those times I had been in trouble before I came to AA. He also found that God, whether he knew him or not, was with him the entire time, even when he was in trouble. That's not new to some of us who had those foxhole prayers. That's not new to some of us who didn't believe God could save me, right? Save you, right? We had troubles believing that what he could perform any kind of miracles, right? But when we go back into our history, when we go back using the 12 spiritual principles and the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja, we will realize he was with us, not just in troubled times, but all the time. He resides in us, period. We just don't know it. But there's a spot reserved in our spirit, because we are spirit, he is spirit, that in this vessel, that spirit, his spirit occupies, is reserved just for him. No matter what life deals us, no matter what we go through on this earthly journey, it is designed. Everything that we go through is designed for us to bring us back home to him. And that's why it says every knee shall bow, every tongue will confess that he is. So when I called him in, he was already there. But that light began to illuminate because he knew I was ready. He knew I was ready. Those other times were just preparation times. Because when we surrender, we only surrender once. That knee-bowing experience will not have you go back, doubt nothing. Once you have been restored and you have acknowledged that he is. God did it. All right. And so I love it when he says here, right? Right. I had been, so found that he had been with me during all those times I had been in trouble before I came to AA. Can I just share just a couple, just a couple, y'all, just a couple, right? I'm from North Philly, 22nd and Lehigh. And I was prostituting way before I started drinking and drugging because I was taught as a child watching my aunt and other females, and eventually my mother, prostitute for one reason or another, right? And so during my addiction, the prostitution, it was just perpetuated, right? And so when I didn't have any money and didn't have anything to sell or no collateral, I started prostituting. And with that act, you don't know what's going to happen. So let me cut through the chase. I remember out there on the strip, and this car pulled up, and it was two guys who were dressed in a suit. I saw the suitcase, briefcase. I said, got me a couple good ones here. Oh, yes. Leaned over and said, hey, guys. They say, hey, miss, how you doing? Would you like to? Oh, yes. I jumped right in that car. But I'm hesitating. And they took me to 33rd and Lehigh in a park that was dark. When he pulled up, the driver, the guy in the passenger seat got out and joined me in the back. And the guy in the driver's seat say, man, check it out. Fear crept in. I started panicking. I started crying. Bam! He hit me. After he tested the goods, kept my underwear, he got back right up out of me. And the guy in the front said, man, shoot that bitch and throw her in the bushes. He opened up the glove compartment and pulled out a gun. He said, hey, man, shoot that bitch and throw her in the bushes like the rest of them. The guy said, man, that's okay. She good. Man, shoot that bitch. I said, man, come on, man. So he didn't shoot me. And they said, we need to take her down to 16th and someplace where they had a high rise. They were pimps. And they was talking about who I was going to be paired with and all that old kind of stuff. So as they began to drive off, they went back down Lehigh Avenue and they turned on 22nd Street. And something inside of me said, if you don't get out now, you won't ever see your family again. So as they rode by my house, something came over me when I got to 22nd and Sedgley. I opened up the door and I jumped out with no underwear on. And I hid behind the bushes, right? They made a U-turn and was trying to find me. I wound up creeping, right, and going down Sargent Street to my girlfriend's Niecy Boo house and bammed on the door. She opened up the door. I said, help me, and she pulled me in. Yes. Another situation. Prostituting again. 2:00 in the morning. This white van pulls up near 33rd, I don't know, Sedgley. I hop in the van. And as he's driving, we try to make conversation, but I see him doing like this, right? Next thing I know, we are in Fairmount Park, and something inside of me again said, something ain't right. And the more I tried to conversate with him, the more he kept looking around. And I said, if I don't get out now, as he went to turn, I opened up the door. I saw a light, right? It was a street light. I saw a light. I start running towards that light. He got out, started chasing me. And you know how women do, they always fall when they're running. Oh, I fell, but guess what? Something picked me right back up and I kept running. And I ran towards the light, right? Now, nobody usually is riding around 2:30 in the morning in the park. Now, but here comes a car out of nowhere. And I'm flagging him down, help, 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 right? Knowing he was right behind me. And the car stopped. And the window rolled down. And somebody put their head out the window and said, Edwina, is that you? Edwina, is that you? Get in the car. They took me back into the city, and I got out that car, and I went to the nearest phone booth, and I dialed my mother's number, and I said, Mom, whoever your God is, tell him thank you, thank you, thank you, and I hung up the phone. And then I had to have another hit just to get over what I just went through. And when I went to the hit house, I pulled off my jacket. That was a swing jacket, y'all. And when I went to lay it down, it opened up. Why? Because he had a knife behind me. And as the cape jacket was in the back, he was that close to me where he slid my coat. That's how close he was to me. There's other times. But I need to move on, because I realize what that gentleman said, that he was with me the whole time, even when I was in trouble, right? So the last thing he says, right? He says here, I had been, let me see. Okay. I also found that he had been with me during all those times I had been in trouble before I came to AA. Period. Here's the last sentence. I know today that he was the one who led me to AA, and that I am a miracle. Oh. Underneath that parked car, these are tears of joy, y'all. These are tears of joy underneath that parked car. When I hollered out to this God that I didn't know to take me out this life or show me a better way. Show me a better way. He chose me. I stepped over dead bodies. I robbed dead bodies. I set people up. I saw the young guy stacked up in the cellar. Yes, he chose me. And he put me on a pathway to recovery and led me to Alcoholics Anonymous. And for that, I know I'm a miracle. You see what I mean? God did it. He knew what I was created for. He knew what I was created to go through. He knew I was created to have that knee-bowing experience. He already knew. I just had to become aware and surrender. Surrender all, you cuckoo cocoa pops girl. But he loves me. So I am a miracle. Whew. All right, so what I got? Oh, I got 9 minutes. Okay, so when this God says, and this is his perspective, right? I know today that he was the one who led me to AA, and that I am a miracle. So that's why. Listen, that's why being a part of this 12-step spiritual program, I'm in love. I am so in love with recovery. I am so in love with my God. I am so in love with my journey. From where I came from, the process, right? The journey to where I am now. He's not finished with me yet. But everything that I shared about, what God accomplished through me, right? All the aspirations, all of the success does not go to me. It goes to my God. He did it. Which is why I want to invite you to join me in a conversation on my 33rd anniversary. And if you go, I don't know why the Spirit let me, but the number 3 has always been my blessed number. The number 33 is my anniversary year, right? And the number 333, right, has significance too, right? And so I want to invite 333 people on my 33rd anniversary on February the 23rd to join in a conversation with me on how the journey of becoming transparent and authentic is so vitally important. But it has to be the foundation of humility. And majority of the time, it is through humiliation. Because ego and pride, listen, they just don't fall down and go to sleep. Oh, hell to the no. This journey, can't you see the love in my eyes? Can't you feel the love of my spirit? Why? Because I'm telling the truth. Why? Because I am transparent. I have no secrets. I will tell you the truth. I am authentic. And I know I can become even more transparent and more authentic because I still have a whole lot of humility left in me. So joining me on February the 23rd as I embark on my new 3 titles: Transformational Speaker, Spiritual Coach, Transformational and Spiritual Consultant. That my God has one person out there for me to touch. Just one. 3 will be nice, but just one. Just one. Is that one you? Is that one you? So that we can unravel the onion that has been right layered with so many masks over the years. And when I presented myself just like I was underneath that parkour, God knew I was ready. And he knew he had the spiritual teachers ready for me. And it came through and will continue to come through the 12 spiritual principles, the 12 spiritual traditions, the 12 spiritual concepts. And now the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family. 1, be impeccable with your word, Edwina. Look at how much you have accomplished by your willingness to be humble. Be impeccable with your word, Edwina. Encourage yourself. Love yourself. Be good to yourself. Say great things to yourself because you are the light. You are love. That's being impeccable with my word towards me. And when I do that for me, I can do it toward you. The second one is don't take anything personally. Not even the negative things I say to myself. Don't take it personally. Remember all those years of domestication. Remember going through the 4th step with those ideas, attitudes, and ideas and belief system was first formulated? No, they were all lies. You know the truth now. You are finding the truth now. You are the truth, Edwina. Because God did it. So I practice not taking anything personally. I practice being impeccable with my word. And when you say something to me, whether it's good or bad, I'm not going to take that personally. You got to get that book called The 5 Agreements by the Ruiz family. And the third one is don't make assumptions. How much you got? Don't make assumptions. You know what that means, right? Making it out of you and me. Don't make any assumptions. You know how conditioned we are to making assumptions. That's why I'm not afraid to ask questions. I want people to ask me questions. I want to go to the horse's mouth. Yes, because I don't want to assume nothing. Because 99.9%, no, 100% we're wrong. We're wrong. Someone said that, Winnie, you think you know everything. You think you this, you think that. If you was missing one piece of the puzzle, one part was missing of the information, is there a possibility you could be wrong? Hell yes. Why? Because I made assumptions, right? If I do 1, 2, and 3, right? Number 4 would be, I will always do my best. Don't take anything personally. Be impeccable with my word. Don't make any assumptions. I will always do my best like I'm doing right now. I don't have no script. I am speaking from my heart. I am speaking the truth. I am transparent because someone did that for me. Yes, she did. And I want to be able to do it for at least one other person. And then the last agreement, be skeptical. Learn to listen. Edwina, when you're talking to yourself, be skeptical. Be skeptical, right? Learn to listen to what you're telling yourself, huh? And then be skeptical when you're listening to other people. Learn to listen. You're not judging or criticizing. You're learning to listen. All right, so it's that time now. Woo! I tell you, boy, recovery is the bomb. Yes, it is. So I pray that you enjoyed this conversation. I pray that at least one of you will sign up today at freetohope.eventbrite.com to engage in a conversation with me on February the 23rd, right? And that you will share it with somebody else. And most importantly, recognize why you are breathing and who did it. Why you are alive and who did it. God? All righty then. Be blessed.